Alright, we're still in the La Jolla region, kind of heading toward Torrey Pines. Been a rough day. 2 failures. One being the flashing red scenario, and the other being a staging problem, which was unexpected. Older couple going to the hospital for an appointment, rather short trip, and the car did a fantastic job of getting all the way over. Almost. We were 1 lane shy of the turning lane. It did its annoying dancing maneuver that I had mentioned hadn't caused a failure yet. Well, the dance caused a failure. Now, the caveat is, at the very last second, it might have tried to jump over and catch itself. But we got to, like, near the edge of that window of time where that's appropriate. And we're not getting over, and there's a car coming up behind us, too, that was going to block us from getting into the turning lane. So I had to intervene, and it sucks, and it's one of the lesser concerns at this point, but it still happens. We'll see how this customer goes. Need to spend some more time in La Jolla, it looks like. Get some more training over here.
I've got some time to kill. Is that a good place to go?
Oh, yeah. That's a cool spot. Lots of spots to eat and such.
Perfect.
Coast Boulevard, there we are. Is the temperature back there feel okay?
Ideal. It's a Tesla. I don't think I've ever been in a Tesla before.
Hey, welcome to the future. It's very quiet.
I was looking at Hyundai Ioniq, I think it's called.
Yeah. Yeah, those are good little cars. The Hyundais come a long way in their design, and they look attractive. I prefer the 5 over the 6, personally. I think the car looks a little bulbous for me, but the little hot hatch is very attractive.
Do you burn through tires?
That depends largely on your driving style. But EVs do generally go through tires a bit faster because of their torque and mass.
That's what I heard.
But if you also know how to shop for tires, it doesn't really impact you well, or too negatively. As an example, the original Michelins I had on this car barely got 20,000 miles. I think both were 18,000 miles and some change. But the BF Goodrich tires I switched to got me 40,000.
Oh.
And they were cheaper.
Yeah, well, that's good to know.
I'm currently on a house brand of Kumo called Road Huggers, and they're over 30,000 miles on them now, and they were like $600 for the whole set. So lots of good options. You don't have to stick with the OEM.
I've got a Subaru now with Michelins that I like, Climatic or something.
Oh yeah. The Cross Climates.
Yeah, that's
yes.
it.
Yeah, interesting, very strong directional design, similar to the Hydro Edge Michelin from years ago. I think that might be what replaced it. But
they work. I'm from Minnesota. It works well with that climate.
I could imagine, yeah. Yeah, it's another important factor depending on where you're at. You know, somebody here can pretty much get away with just summer tires year-round, or just all-season tires. Summer tires wear out faster, of course, because they're usually more sport-specific. I'm actually planning to go to some Nittos next. It's a brand I've always liked, but never really put on my car, so...
Oh.
For what I do, I look for the higher mileage warranties.
Oh, for sure.
Especially, so as a potential EV owner, you will pretty much always get a discount on your next set of tires, because your tires are not going to hit that guarantee, and that gets prorated into your next set, which is really cool. So your initial expense is going to be greater than your recurring expense when you get your next set. Like when I trade in for these, they only have gotten probably 35,000 miles, but the warranty is 60,000. So
and
since
how far do you have to wear them down before the warranty takes effect?
Any time before that mileage guarantee. That's what that is.
But
so
if they're worn to, what, 30 seconds?
Well, they need to be worn down to where, like, so I do all my tire changes at Discount Tire.
Yeah, that's where I go too.
Yeah, they've been really good about it. I push my tires to about, 2 to 3, usually 30 seconds. I usually don't go too much below that because there really isn't much reason to. I like having good traction, especially in the occasional rainy day. But the important thing is to making sure you have even tread wear. So like if you have overinflated tires and the middle's like worn out more than the shoulders, that can void the warranty. So a little bit of added monitoring to make sure you have even wear, keep your tires at the proper pressure.
Do you spring for the road hazard at Discount Tire?
I do, yeah. Especially as much as I'm on the road. have had my unfortunate luck with potholes and debris. And usually when I run over something, it's going to be in the shoulder or be like some oblong metal piece and not just be that perfect circular nail that you can repair.
So it's worked out. That's worked out for you.
Yes. In a specific use case for me, given I drive far more than the average person. I've got over 150,000 miles on this car.
Oh.
This is what I do full time, so I'm always on the road. So getting the tire that's got the best guarantee to be able to take advantage of that proration and the tire warranties, it's all very worth it for my use case.
In Minneapolis now, the city council passed a law that makes, the intent of it was to make Uber and Lyft drivers be paid a minimum of $15 an hour.
Oh, yeah.
And Uber and Lyft have said, we are leaving Minneapolis.
Yep.
So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
That almost happened here, and thankfully we fought it. Because we don't want to be employees. We want to be contractors.
Yeah.
That trying to make us an employee with an hourly wage is how you kill this platform. Because a lot of people, I mean, I might be the minority doing it full time, like it's my main job. A lot of people do it for supplemental income. And even for myself, I can choose, like my day is typically 4 a.m. to about 7 a.m. And then I go home and I work on either videos for my channel or go to the gym. And then I usually work from maybe 11 to 2:33 after I'm going home. And then if I need to do any more, then usually from 1800 or 6 p.m. to about 8 p.m. If we had to become employees, I lose that autonomy.
Oh.
You know, I can't decide to work around my own schedule. You have to actually have your sort of typical 9-to-5 style.
Most people I talk to say it's a pretty good gig. If they want to pay them more, great, but they're not complaining.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a fantastic way to earn, especially if you look at it like a business and think about the ways to maximize your return by getting something like an EV, lowering your operational costs.
Right.
Because, I mean, just in gas alone, compared to the 2019 Kia Soul that I used when I was feeling this out, I'm saving over $1,000 a month. That's monthly just in gas. No oil changes or anything else, too. It's
Is your insurance comparable?
Yeah, it actually is. When we just had this car, full coverage with all the extra Uber and Lyft gap coverage, the 50,000 mile a year usage, it was only like $180. And we have both of our cars covered now for about $350.
Oh.
Now, fully covered with me a zero deductible and comprehensive. So if anything hits my windows and cracks them, you know, I'm not coming out of pocket for that. So I'm admittedly paying higher than somebody would for the Uber and Lyft stuff, the zero comprehension, all that. So it's quite competitive. You get a lot of discounts because of how safe they are, all the high-tech safety features that are built in.
So that little screen there, is that giving traffic in real time?
This one?
Yeah.
Yep. This is a visual representation of what the 8 cameras outside are seeing. It's the bird's eye view, even identifying people, different types of cars. It's a part of Tesla's autonomous unit, its brain being able to self-drive, reacting to the lights and knowing when it needs to turn and such.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Have you experimented with self-driving at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got over 1,300 hours on the system. In fact, it's been driving itself since I picked you up.
Oh, really?
It can be hard to tell because I keep my hands very close, but you can see the yoke moving. The blue line is a giveaway. It's turning the signal on and getting over. It's responsible for accelerating, braking, turning, all of it. But just like with cruise control, I can tap the brake or just grab the wheel and I'm in control.
But you don't need to do that very often?
Not very often. It's getting really, really competent, which is great. It's not at a point where anybody should be clicking it and forgetting it, especially just because you have the human factor outside. Crazy things can happen. You just gotta be careful. No one is allowed in their Teslas to not pay attention. There's a little camera actually watching us up here that will yell at us if we're looking away or you're on your phone or abusing the system at all. Essentially, right now, it's classified as a really good driver assistance feature, but it has the technical capability of completely driving on its own.
So it decided to pass that car?
Sure did. There is a factor of speed-based lane changing built in to where it's trying to get to a certain speed limit, and if it can't, it'll try to go around, and it reacted to that.
And now,
yellow.
if it had been me, I would have gone for that yellow light.
Oh, plenty of people would have. But autonomous systems have to bias towards safety and legal things. I'm just glad it's gotten good at a comfortable braking pressure, because earlier builds, a couple of years back, that would have been pretty heavy. We'd have been in our seatbelt pretty hard there.
What year is this one?
This is 2020.
Okay.
This is the base Model 3. Got this bad boy for about $40,000.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, they're quite competitive now when you factor in everything you're getting and all that you're saving. The more you use the vehicle, of course, your savings scale with that. You know, I probably save a lot more than the average person because I'm constantly using it.
What's resale like?
That's kind of a good question right now, because there's been a lot of fluctuation in the market and such, and it's definitely not as good as it was when the pandemic was going on and the used car market was insane. I haven't actually appraised my car in a while, given I've got 157, 158,000 miles or so. I would probably assume I'm between $15,000 to $20,000 resale.
What's the warranty on the battery?
Depending on which car you get, it changes. For the base model, it's 8 years or 100,000 miles. That's your full powertrain, so your batteries and your motors. If you get the long range or performance, it should be 10 years, 120,000 miles. Or 10 years, 150,000. It's one of those two. That's a nice Model Y, blue wrap. It's going really slow through here. Interesting. There we go. Now it's kind of moving along. Yeah, it actively adapts to speed limit changes and such, and traffic flow. It kind of factors a few things in to keep moving at a comfortable pace. Yeah, this thing's tough though. It's probably had 20 to 30,000 people in it in the last few years, and
so if you were out on the freeway and every speed limit was like 65, but everyone was going 72, would it stay with the flow of traffic, or would it not go above the speed limit?
it usually stays with the flow of traffic. You have some personal preference choices you can make to give it permissions to go above the speed limit. Like for myself, I typically give it like 10 to 15% more. I've always been 10%, which is about 5 miles an hour or so more. And I only go that much faster just for efficiency reasons, but you can bump it up quite a lot. I think the upper limit of the self-driving speed limit, I think, is 80 or 85. And of course, you can just drive yourself and go as fast as you're willing to risk.
Right. I think you're generally safe 5 miles an hour.
Yeah, I think 5 in city, 10 on highway is kind of a pretty standard thing. I'm usually cruising around 75 miles an hour on the freeway. What's cool is with this current build, if I change, so I don't know if you can see this, but there's a chill, average, and assertive profile or mind that you can put the car in. And at these different modes, the highway speed it has kind of preset is different. So in chill, it's closer to 68, but in assertive, it's closer to 75. And the only annoying thing, honestly, on the highway side for me is sometimes you'll pass parts of the highway where the map data reads that the speed limit dropped from like 65 to like 50, and the car will react.
Sure.
And then you'll start feeling yourself braking, and you can cancel it by hitting the scroll wheel to tick it back up. But it's one of those little nuances where I'm like, really? Can we just stay at a consistent speed, please? Reading every speed limit change is kind of a nuisance in that case. Definitely works wonders on mental de-stress for traffic and long distance hauling or travel, like road trips, rush hour. Allowing yourself to take some of your focus off of the actual act of driving is really nice.
And it must be relatively safe if insurance rates are the same. Otherwise, the underwriters would get a hold of it and jack it up.
Well, for sure. That also kind of tracks with how it's legally classified, too. This isn't registered or regulated, I should say, as an autonomous vehicle or actual self-driving features. It's all on a level 2 classification or an advanced driving assistance feature like smart cruise control. So it has the same sort of weight put on it by regulators.
Right, but the underwriters wouldn't care about that. They just care about real-world data.
Well, sure. And the real-world data does show about a 10x difference between the average crash per mile from a person versus Tesla on its autopilot or FSD. I think, I haven't seen the stats in a while, but a couple of examples were like the average person in their car, there's like an accident once every 400,000 miles. And in a Tesla, it was closer to 4 million miles.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, those are the sorts of numbers that have been put out, quarter to quarter to show that a few different metrics, too, like a Tesla without autopilot, Tesla with it on, Tesla with full self-driving. They have the numbers that they submit every year. That probably contributes to the leveling out of insurance policies and such.
I wish it weren't owned by Musk, because he kind of irks me.
Yeah, that's a sentiment shared by plenty of people, but at the end of the day, they're great products, and if you don't have to think about Musk, think about the hardworking engineers and people who are building your car.
Right.
Do it for them versus the guy that might say some crazy stuff on X. That's usually what I tell people, because to forego using an excellent product because you don't like the guy at the top is kind of silly to me. But I get it. Some people get really attached to personas and image and such. But I always just tell people, think about the hundreds of thousands of people that are working for Tesla that are busting their butts to make really good products.
That's a good point.
It's like, do it for the little people. Because they are some fantastic people. I've never had a bad experience with anybody working for Tesla. It's always been really inviting. They don't give you the dealership slimy vibes you get, like the haggling for the deal or getting screwed over.
Yeah, they are real slimy.
Yeah, dealing with Tesla is probably more akin to dealing with like the Apple Store. It's direct sale right to customer. There's no dealership middleman trying to mark up your price. The buying process is so easy. Like, you already have your stuff pre-approved. Basically just sign papers and leave, versus like the 8-hour day you spend at whatever dealership. It's kind of a wild difference in experience. I'm glad it's handling this area really well. The more urban parts of La Jolla, like near the mall, were giving the system a little trouble today.
I suppose it just gets better all the time, huh?
Yeah, they're constantly getting the data from all the drivers, hundreds of thousands of us using the system, and then they take that information and train, future updates that we get downloaded to the car just over the air through Wi-Fi and such. The vehicles just get better and better. Make sure I got a spot where you don't have to worry about traffic coming out. But yeah, this whole area is great. A lot of really good restaurants and such that people love around here.
Nice, yeah, that's good to kill a few hours. Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. It was nice to get an education too.
Yeah, my pleasure. Just hold that top button and push the door at the same time. Right here on the top of the handle. There you go. And then push out. Right on.
Have a good one.
You as well. Take care. Awesome. That was a pretty good conversation and a good drive by FSD. So a little, pro tip for people there that you might have saw toward the end. He did end up saying that, he, would like a Tesla, but he doesn't like Elon. I don't share that sentiment. I think Elon's the man, and he's human, and he's allowed to have his opinions and express his thoughts and feelings, and he changes his mind when he's corrected. He's a logical guy. I can relate to him in a lot of other ways too, like the way our brains work and such. But, oh my God, freaking SUV Rolls Royce right here. Whoo! That is way more money than I'll ever really care to deal with. Anyway, to what I was saying though, you saw how I steered the conversation. I told him, don't think about the guy up top, do it for all the wonderful people that are building the cars. For all the amazing employees, the engineers, the production line, sales, detail, service, all these people that are working their ass off, the hundreds of thousands of employees that are moving the needle and making great moves and carrying the industry forward. Do it for them. If you really can't get over something that Elon posted on X, do it for everybody else, And yeah, you heard him. He's like, I didn't think of it like that. That's a good point. It's like, exactly. I think it's really quite dumb, to be honest, to forego experiencing a fantastic product just because you don't like something that the CEO said. Because the company is a lot more than just the CEO. And again, I'm a huge Elon fanboy. but I get that not everybody is. My wife isn't, you know, and it doesn't always have to be about the man, you know, it's about everybody else, it's about the product, it's about the experience, the mission. I think that's something to keep in mind. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for listening to my, thanks for attending my TED Talk.